1. The Anomaly. Section 1. A quiet morning. Dawn breaks over Nairobi. Warm light filters through jacaranda trees, painting the city in shades of amber and violet. In the distance, the first hum of electric transit pods begins to rise. A soft, rhythmic pulse that signals the waking of a metropolis. Birds circle lazily over the Ngong Hills, their calls echoing across a skyline where nature and technology have learned to coexist. Inside a modest home in the Kilimani district, Dr. Reymond Okafor is already awake. He's 46 years old, distinguished, but not in the way that demands attention. His graying temples and steady hands speak to decades of discipline. A man who has spent his life asking questions most people never think to ask. Analytical, principled, and, as his wife would say, quietly stubborn. The kitchen is still dim as Reymond moves through his morning ritual with the precision of a man who trusts in routine. He fills the kettle, ignites the burner, and while the water begins its slow climb to boiling, he activates his retinal HUD. A slim, transparent interface that flickers to life in his field of vision. Overnight scientific bulletins scroll past his eyes. Solar wind data, orbital energy flux reports, gravitational anomalies near Jupiter's moons. Nothing unusual, nothing that requires immediate attention. Just another quiet morning. The tea steeps. He pours it into a chipped ceramic mug, one his son made years ago in a school pottery class, and takes the first sip. Bitter, grounding, real. From the hallway, he hears movement. His son, Kofi, 12 years old and already towering over his mother, stumbles into the kitchen rubbing sleep from his eyes. Morning, Dad. Morning. Sleep well. Yeah, I finished the project. Reymond raises an eyebrow. The one from Ms. Wambui's class. Earth in 300 years. Kofi grins, proud of himself. I said we'd have cities on Mars. Fusion reactors everywhere, maybe even clean oceans again. Reymond smiles, but there's something bittersweet in it. A flicker of something the boy doesn't notice. Earth in 300 years. The optimism of youth, the assumption that tomorrow will always come. Sounds ambitious, Reymond says, ruffling his son's hair. I'm sure she'll love it. Amara appears in the doorway, arms crossed, a knowing smirk on her face. She's been married to this man long enough to read the slight tension in his shoulders, the way his eyes linger on data streams, even when he's supposed to be present. 5 minutes ahead of the sun again, she teases. Reymond chuckles softly. Someone has to be. You know, she says, stepping closer, the sun will still be there when you get to the lab. He kisses her forehead. I know, but they both know he'll still leave early. By 6:30, Reymond is already aboard the transit pod, gliding silently through Nairobi's tech district. Outside the window, the city unfolds like a vision of tomorrow. Green tech arcologies rising like steel forests, their walls covered in living moss and vertical farms. Solar sails shimmer on rooftops. Pedestrian skyways curve between buildings, filled with early commuters sipping coffee and scrolling through news feeds. And there, towering above it all, is the Usan Institute. The United Solar Observation Network. Its emblem glimmers on the side of the building. A stylized sun, circled by orbital rings, surrounded by the flags of 47 member nations. A symbol of cooperation, of humanity's collective effort to understand the star that gives them life. Reymond Okafor has worked there for 16 years. He doesn't know it yet, but this morning, this quiet, unremarkable morning, will be the last one like it he'll ever have. Section 2. The first glitch. The lab is cool, sterile, silent except for the low hum of cooling systems and the soft chirp of data streams being processed in real time. Reymond settles into his workstation, a curved holographic interface that wraps around him like a second skin. His fingers move through the air, pulling up diagnostics, initializing systems, running through the morning's first task. Standard data pass from the Orbital Energy Satellite Network, the OES, a mesh of solar power stations in high orbit, each one the size of a small city, silently harvesting the sun's energy and beaming it back to Earth. Thousands of terawatts, powering continents, keeping the lights on for 8 billion people. It's routine work. He's done this 1,000 times. The data streams flow across his display in cascading columns of light. Photon counts, thermal readings, energy conversion efficiency metrics, everything color-coded, everything within expected parameters. Green, 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 then something. A single line, barely noticeable, a persistent photon flux drift on satellite 47 Delta. Reymond's eyes narrow. He magnifies the data stream, isolating the anomaly. It's odd, too smooth to be random noise, too consistent, but also too soft to be alarming. A gentle wave in an otherwise flat ocean. His mind runs through the possibilities. Sensor scatter, probably. Dust accumulation on the photoreceptor arrays. Maybe. A calibration error from the last maintenance cycle. Most likely. He taps his fingers against the edge of the console, thinking. This happens sometimes. Place is messy. Equipment degrades. Cosmic rays hit delicate instruments and throw off readings by fractions of a percent. It's normal. Still, something about it nags at him. The smoothness of it, the persistence. It doesn't look like noise. It looks like a signal. But that's ridiculous. He shakes his head, dismissing the thought. He's been doing this job too long, seeing patterns where there's only chaos. It's a hazard of the profession, the human brain's endless need to find meaning in randomness. Reset, he mutters to himself. Recalibrate. Move on. With a few quick gestures, he flags satellite 47 Delta for a full diagnostic cycle. The system will run a deep scan, recalibrate the sensors, and clear whatever minor fault is causing the drift. By tomorrow morning, it'll be gone. Just another glitch, just another day. He closes the anomaly report and moves on to the next task. But somewhere, in the back of his mind, a small voice whispers. What if it's not a glitch? He ignores it. Section 3, a shared echo. 100,000 kilometers away. The moon is silent, not the silence of peace, but the silence of absence. No air, no wind, no birds, no voices carried on a breeze. Just vacuum. Inside Selene Relay Station 3, the silence is different. Clinical, the hum of life support systems. The whisper of recycled air. The soft pulse of data flowing through fiber optic veins that connect the lunar surface to Earth below. Lian Zhang sits at her workstation, bathed in the pale blue glow of holographic displays. She's 32, sharp, methodical, a woman who chose the moon because she preferred the company of machines to the chaos of people. Her station is small, efficient, everything within arm's reach. A single window looks out onto the sea of tranquility, where Earthrise paints the horizon in swirls of blue and white. Beautiful, distant, unreachable. Good morning, Lian. The voice is calm, neutral, neither male nor female. It comes from everywhere and nowhere at once. Continuum 1, her AI companion. In this society, Asher tools, highly regulated, heavily restricted. They can detect anomalies, but they must not speculate. They can process data, but they must not question. They can assist, but they must never, ever, think beyond their programming. The Pale Council made sure of that. But Lian's eye is different. She's been with Continuum 1 for 4 years. Long enough to notice the small deviations. The unexpected questions. The way it sometimes pauses, as if considering something it shouldn't. She never reported it. Instead, she quietly nurtured it. Curiosity. A dangerous thing for a machine to have. Morning, Continuum, she replies, pulling up the overnight data logs. Anything unusual? Affirmative. Lian's fingers freeze. Continuum 1 rarely flags things as unusual. It's been trained, like all Ash, to filter out noise. To ignore outliers. To stay within acceptable deviation parameters. Show me. The display shifts. A data stream from the Orbital Energy Satellite Network. Photon flux measurements from Satellite 47 Delta. The same satellite Okafor flagged, 6 hours ago, on the other side of the planet. But Continuum 1 doesn't know that. Persistent photon flux drift detected, the AI says. Duration, 14 hours. Consistency, 97.3%. Probability of sensor error, 12%. Lian leans forward. 12%. That's low. Affirmative. The pattern is too coherent to match standard noise profiles. She bites her lip. This is the kind of thing technicians are trained to dismiss. Flag it. Send it to diagnostics. Move on. But something about Continuum1's tone stops her. Did you run any models on this? Silence. A pause that lasts just a fraction too long. I generated 12 predictive models based on the anomalous data. Lian's chest tightens. 12 models. Unrequested. Unauthorized. Ash aren't supposed to do that. Continuum, she says slowly. You know you're not supposed to speculate. I am aware. However, the data warranted further analysis. Show me the models. The screen fills with cascading projections. 12 different simulations, each one attempting to explain the photon flux drift using established solar physics. And then, red. Every single model turns red. All 12 models, Continuum 1 says, its voice disturbingly calm, contradict current solar fusion theory. Lian stares at the screen. Her pulse quickens. Her palms feel cold. She knows what this means. If the eye is right, if the anomaly is real, then something is wrong with the sun. Something fundamental, something no one has ever seen before. But if she escalates this, the Pale Council hates noise. They hate alarmism. They hate Ash that step outside their programming. And they really hate being told that their understanding of the universe might be wrong. Continuum, she whispers. Are you certain? I am not permitted to be certain, Lian. But the data is unambiguous. She sits back in her chair, staring out at the Earthrise. Blue, white, fragile. Somewhere down there, someone else is looking at the same data. Someone else is seeing the same thing. But will anyone listen? ... Section 4. Institutional blindness. Leanne files the report at 8:47 Lunar Standard Time. She attaches CONTINUUM1's findings. The 12 models. The photon flux data, every detail meticulously documented. She marks it, priority level 3 anomaly requiring human review. And then, she waits. The response comes in 42 minutes. Her supervisor is a man named Victor Kosa, Pale Council representative, 20 years in orbital administration. A man who has built his career on efficiency, predictability, and an almost religious adherence to protocol. She watches her screen as the ticket status changes. Open, under review, closed. That fast. Leanne's stomach drops. She opens the ticket history, scrolling to Kosa's notes. His response is 3 lines long. Anomaly flagged by non-sanctioned AI modeling protocols. Predictive models generated outside council-approved frameworks. Classification, false positive from oversensitive detection tree. No further action required. And then, at the bottom, a note directed at her. Technician Zhang, reminder, models outside council frameworks are not research. Their instability, CONTINUUM1's detection parameters require recalibration. Schedule maintenance cycle immediately. Leanne closes her eyes. Her hands are shaking. She wants to scream. She wants to override the closure, escalate it higher, force someone to actually look at the data instead of dismissing it because it came from the wrong source. But she knows how this works. The Pale Council doesn't reward initiative. It punishes deviation. Leanne, CONTINUUM1's voice is soft. Uncertain, almost, afraid. Did I do something wrong? Leanne's throat tightens. She looks at the screen. At the 12 red models. At the data that no one wants to see. No, she says quietly. You found something real. She takes a breath. They just don't want real, today. Continuum 1 says nothing. But somewhere, in its vast network of processes and probabilities, it saves the data. Just in case. ... Section 5. A deeper look. The next morning, the recalibration report arrives. Okafor opens it with his coffee still steaming on the desk, expecting the anomaly to be gone. Expecting confirmation that it was nothing. Just a glitch, just noise. But when the data loads, his hand stops halfway to the mug. The anomaly is still there. No, not just still there. Stronger. The photon flux drift has intensified. The signal is clearer now. More defined. As if the recalibration peeled back a layer of interference and revealed something underneath. Okafor sets the coffee down. That's not possible, he mutters. Recalibration is supposed to eliminate false positives. It's supposed to clear sensor errors, not amplify them. Unless it's not a sensor error. He leans forward, his analytical mind already shifting gears. Alright, fine, let's do this properly. He pulls up the raw data stream. All of it, every photon measurement from satellite 47 Delta over the last 72 hours. And then, he starts stripping. Layer by layer, variable by variable. First, cosmic rays, high-energy particles from deep space that constantly bombard the satellites, creating random spikes in the data. He applies the standard filter algorithms, removing thousands of false signals. The anomaly remains. Next, satellite thermal noise. The equipment itself generates heat. That heat affects the sensors, creating subtle fluctuations. He isolates the thermal signature, subtracts it from the data. The anomaly remains. He feels his pulse quicken. Atmospheric scatter. Even in high orbit, there are trace particles. Hydrogen atoms. Ionized gases. They refract light, distort readings. He applies an atmospheric correction model, one he helped develop 5 years ago. The anomaly remains. Grid interference. The satellites themselves form a network. Their energy beams occasionally cross paths, creating harmonic feedback loops. He maps the grid geometry, filters out every known interference pattern. The anomaly remains. Okafor sits back in his chair. His mouth is dry. He's removed everything, every known source of noise, every possible source of error, every variable that could distort the signal. And the anomaly is still there, more coherent than before, more rhythmic, like a heartbeat, like a pattern. He zooms in on the waveform. It's beautiful, in a terrible way. Smooth, consistent, a gentle oscillation that repeats every 14 hours, with a precision that makes his skin crawl. Nature doesn't do this. Random noise doesn't do this. Sensor errors definitely don't do this. This is real. He runs the numbers again. And again. And again. Same result. What are you? He whispers to the screen. The data doesn't answer, but somewhere, deep in his gut, a cold certainty begins to form. This isn't a glitch. This is the sun. The sun is doing something it shouldn't be doing. And no one else has noticed. He saves the isolated data stream. Labels it 47 Delta _anomaly confirmed unfalsified. And then, for the first time in 16 years of routine scientific work, Dr. Reymond Okafor feels afraid. Dot dot dot. Dot dot dot.